Hello, this is episode 22 of the Movie Burner podcast, the weekly podcast from Movie Burner Entertainment, where we discuss the latest entertainment news, reviews and share our views. So what's up first, John?
First this week, Stephen, Martin Scorsese has announced on Instagram that the filming of his crime biopic drama, The Irishman, has wrapped. This has been a long, arduous road. I believe there's been numerous issues with the budget rising, so it's finally done, Stephen. Of course, it's going to be going on Netflix at some point in the near future. We don't know yet, though, how long away that actually is. We'll get into that, though, Stephen, won't we? What's your thoughts on this one?
As you said, John, this movie's been in development since 2010. That's unbelievable.
Wow.
I first heard about this film, I think, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. But, it's been a long time coming, and I'm actually glad to hear it's going to be getting released on the streaming service. A major coup for the streaming service, certainly. As you said, Martin Scorsese posted that on, I think it was midweek, saying that's a wrap. Thank you to the many people who made this possible. Hashtag I heard you paint houses. Hashtag The Irishman. I don't know what that means, but this is going to be the first feature directed by Martin Scorsese to star Robert De Niro since Casino. All the way back in 1995, John.
Yeah. Well, the I heard you paint houses little thing, I think that's actually tying into the book, where I believe one of the characters, I don't know which one, might be Sheeran, actually, the chap who was apparently the guy guilty of murdering. He met one of the people in a house and he says, I heard you paint houses, and I think that's a little bit of a metaphorical thing when you hear you murder people. Also when you shoot or stab a person and kill them and body splatter, so that's a little play on that, so that was quite cool. I like that. This film itself, very intrigued. I didn't know it was in production for so long. That's nearly 7 years? 8
years, yeah.
That's 8 years, yeah. You can tell I'm clearly not good at maths, Stephen. But very interesting, this film. Obviously, when you bring these guys together that are in this film, you've got De Niro, you've got Pacino, Pesci, and Joe Pesci's been brought out of retirement for this. He's managed to encourage him to come back, so it must be a very good script they've got. Certainly, I believe the script has been written by the same chap who worked on Gangs of New York with him, so all the signs point to this being a very good film. It's very interesting that none of the traditional studios opted to pick this up. I don't know whether that was purely down to the rising budget costs I mentioned in the little opener. I think it's now up to $140 million. It's apparently Scorsese's highest ever budget. So maybe a lot of studios, it goes back to what we were discussing before, Stephen, in the previous podcast, about studios maybe not taking a risk on the higher rated films, like the 18s and the R rated. I don't know what they are in America. And this is also, we don't know the rating on this yet, but I assume with the content in it and the story, it's going to be quite a violent film. Studios these days, they just seem to want to cater to as broad an audience as they can, and they're not going to take a risk on a film that could be potentially be an 18 and lock out a large proportion of the movie-going audience. So in a way, I'm not surprised it's on Netflix, but it's interesting. It's good for Netflix. Certainly they seem to be up in their game and rivaling all the other major studios that are out there and really making a fist at releasing some AAA, to coin a gaming term, titles. So, be interesting. I think Scorsese, I've read, actually demanded that it get a minor theatrical release around about the Oscar season, so certainly it seems that it's going to be in a limited amount of theatres anyway, but we'll get into it in a little bit, I'm sure. But this is very interesting to me, this film.
It certainly is good for the streaming service, John. It's certainly good for the audience members as well, that that there is an alternative to the sort of broad blockbusters that are out there, as you said, have got to cater for everyone, which certainly didn't used to be the way, but it seems to be the road we're going down now. And I knew a film was based on a book. I didn't know what the book was called, but I've just read there it is called I Heard You Paint Houses, so that makes sense now to me. And the approach to this film, as I believe, John, is the film is going to be taking place during 2 time periods, and they're going to digitally de-age De Niro, Pacino and Pesci. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, yeah.
This is, I'm just looking at my notes as well, that Robert De Niro has confirmed this, that they're going to use this technique they used way back in 2008 for the curious case of Benjamin Button, which starred Brad Pitt. I think that was in its sort of inventory at that point, that those kind of effects. certainly were impressive for the day. But no, I'm looking forward to seeing how they'll pull that off, because as we know from, you know, films like Rogue One, where they've had to digitally create, you know, an actor that's since passed away, and they did seem to pull that off, you know, for the time a few years ago. I went back and saw Rogue One since, and it's, you know, it is a little bit sort of jarring to watch now, but no, I'm looking forward to that. As you said, Joe Pesci, this is his first film since 2010. It was a film called Love Ranch. Didn't see it. Surprised at that, because I'm a big Joe Pesci fan. And this surprisingly will be the first collaboration between Al Pacino and Martin Scorsese. That's another thing that shocked me.
Yeah, and interestingly, it's also the first time that Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese have worked together in over a decade as well, Stephen. So also when they get together, it's absolute gold. I believe he starred in Raging Bull, Taxi Driver. List is endless, really. It's one of the great films they've been in. And just looking at the cast, it's incredible, the cast. Jesse Plemons is in there, Harvey Keitel, Stephen Graham, another chap I enjoy. He was in Their Finest. He's a brilliant actor. So many great actors and actresses in there. And the chap I was talking about was actually Steve Zalian, who done the screenplay, and he collaborated with Scorsese on Gangs of New York, which was also a great release. Rodrigo Prieto as well, doing the cinematography, another great addition to the crew there. He's a great cinematographer. So they seem to have brought together a brilliant array of actors. The story's very interesting to me, just this whole non-fiction story about a chap, I can't remember his name, my mind's went completely blank, I believe it's Sheeran or something. I don't know the story, I've not read the book, but he's basically a hitman who does work for a crime family, a mafia family over in North America, and I think he takes out the Al Pacino character. Maybe he's got connections with him, who's, I believe, a political figure back in the day. So I can't wait to see this. Hopefully it's similar along the lines to like a legend type film, where we get to see this historical sort of a gangster type thing, and just what they were getting up to. It's something that intrigues me. It's always interested me. Even the likes of Bronson, see these historical figures getting put to screen. So also with the guys that are together in it, it's very, very interesting. You just know you're going to get a good film when these chaps are all together. It's gold. Most of them, I think, were in Goodfellas at one point as well. So it's very, very intriguing to me. I don't know much more about it. I'll be interested to see when a trailer's going to be ready to come out, because also with this de-aging technology, which you touched upon, that's going to take quite a while to get looking good. It's a technology I'm not hugely keen on if it's going to be used in large parts of the film. I think it's best served for short little spots at technology, what they've done in the Marvel films, also with Michael Douglas and Kurt Russell and a couple of other people. But as you say, with Robert Downey Jr. as well, yeah. And also, as you said, with Tarkin and Rogue One, it was sustained, and it didn't bother me too much, because that character was absolutely pivotal with that story. It had to be in there, so it was a necessity, but it didn't work over a longer period. So that'll be something to watch out for. Hopefully they can nail the right balance with that, and hopefully it doesn't affect the film too much, because certainly the story looks very interesting. It's right up my street, something I'm into. And as I say, all the actors and the crew and stuff look gold. The screenplay should be gold. I have to touch upon the photos I've seen of this film though, with Robert Downey Jr. walking down the street with Al Pacino. When he's sporting about 5-inch lifts, what is going on there? Don't know if you've seen those photos, Stephen, but they are terrible, man. What is going on there?
It could be to do with the character's height. I'm not sure, John, but they certainly were obvious. Hopefully they'll not be that obvious in the movie. You know, just you were reading out the cast there. I'm very happy to see Harvey Keitel being involved in this. Getting away from those dreadful car insurance adverts. Another rumour is kicking about, John. I don't know if you know this one. Is that Leonardo DiCaprio could be making a cameo in 3 scenes as Robert F. Kennedy, who was the Attorney General during the key times throughout the story. Certainly without Leonardo DiCaprio, it's a fantastic cast, but it'd be very, you know, I think that would be the sort of cherry on top of the cake if they were to get him in to, you know, even just as a cameo.
Yeah, I mean, I think the chap who gets killed in it is actually, he was a Labour Union leader, so he was quite a prominent figure during the mid-1970s, and I think they actually says that in a little synopsis of the book, because we've not got any synopsis for the film yet, that it ties into US Attorney Rudy Giuliani and all the way up to JFK and Joey Gallo and all those murders and stuff like that. So, as I says, it provides a really interesting insight into a chapter of American history. I'm not hugely familiar with And also with the director, I love Scorsese, he's one of the greatest directors of all time, so you know you're going to get something semi-decent anyway. I've not seen Silence, which is Criminal. That was a film I was really looking forward to seeing. That was also a previous passion project. And if this film's been in the works for as long as you state, Stephen, then it's also another passion project. So can't wait to see further developments on this one. Hopefully we get a trailer in the near future, but I don't think it will be. I think it'll probably be 6-7 months down the road. But just moving on, Stephen, Anya Taylor-Joy confirms reshoots for the new Mutant film will add a new character. And she's just flung this in rather blasé in an article with I can't recall who it was with, but it's all very blasé as if we were meant to know about this and this wasn't a huge surprise or announcement. What's your thoughts on that, Stephen?
Well, Taylor-Joy's comments were very constructed. I think she's obviously watching what she's saying, obviously word will get back to the makers of the film, but it's, as I said, it's all very well constructed. She had this to say: I do think that there is a great responsibility to make sure the movie is done right and that we deliver the fans something that they can all feel happy about and excited about. So I don't think it's being delayed is a bad thing, because it's definitely more important to make sure that we get it right than rushing to make a date. So hopefully all of these reshoots and adding of a new character, that will give the fans an altogether satisfactory, wonderful product. This film was scheduled to come out next month, because I think it was our first podcast we were talking about this when the trailer dropped, John.
That's right.
I was certainly looking forward to this film. It was just at the beginning of spring time. It was a good time for a release to come out, very similar to last year's release of Logan. This was going to be this year's release of the New Mutants. As you said, the reshoots are taking place because the filmmakers want to make the film a bit more scarier. I think we've also talked about, if my memory serves me correct, that director Josh Boone has already stated this is going to be a PG-13. And I think he's also said it's going to be the hardest PG-13 he's ever made, because you want to make it as frightening as possible, but you've got to sort of draw a line, how frightening you can make it. So it's a very hard one to call, but I'm certainly looking forward to it. As I said, the news itself, it's nothing really earth-shattering, if you like, but there was a little bit she did mention, that of a disappointment of the film being rescheduled, and she said, well, the only thing that I can say without being in trouble is that it's being delayed is disappointing, frustrating in fact, because we were all very excited for it to be released on April 13th, and I don't just mean disappointing for me, but I'm sure there are a lot of other fans that were looking forward to seeing it. As I said, it's a very well constructed statement she's made. Did we really need it though? Don't think so.
Yeah, I think she's echoing much of the fan sentiment on this film as well. It was very exciting. I think we were all looking forward to seeing this, especially when we seen the trailer. The trailer was superb. Just the tone of it and everything, the way it introduced the characters, the use of music. I think it was Pink Floyd, wasn't it? Another Brick in the Wall or something. It was really well done. A great young cast. Maisie Williams in it, Anya Taylor-Joy, brilliant young actress, or actor as they like to call him now. But yeah, I thought that original release date was perfect. The April 13th, Friday the 13th. I hope now when they do go to release it next year, that they do go for the Friday the 13th release as well, because it's clearly a horror heavy film, and that would just be the perfect release date for me, so it'd be sad to let that go to waste, so I hope they do that. But yeah, Boone did say it was going to be the hardest PG-13 that he was going to make, and certainly you're right, Stephen, it has to be, because if you're making a PG-13 based on a classic comic run that was very horror heavy in certain parts of it, then you really do have to push the boat out and make it very dark, or as dark as possible for that rating. I think we speculated back when the news of this delay first got announced, I speculated anyway, that maybe a ploy on Disney's part with the whole Fox merger, that they'd maybe want to have an influence on it if it was going to become under their property of films and stuff like that and characters. Maybe they wanted to influence it and put their mark on it going forward if that deal was to go through. Obviously that deal's still not been confirmed as of yet, so I think that's very unlikely. I think I was probably talking nonsense there. And now with the announcement of this new character, I think it's pretty clear. That's probably the main reason for the 10-month delay, because if you're introducing a new character, that's going to be quite extensive, trying to introduce him in an organic way with the rest of the characters and make it fit like it was always in the film from the start. Certainly from the details that I've heard, the favourite for the new character is a chap called Warlock, who's I say, quote, a techno-alien character. I don't know what that means. I've never read the comics myself. But apparently he may be quite a CG-heavy character, and obviously adding him in with the reshoots and then making the CG look believable and to a decent standard, that would probably account for the 10-month delay. But I certainly don't believe that's the only reason. I do believe Josh Boone, I don't think he's a liar. I think if he's come out and says they're looking to make it a little bit darker using the reshoots as well, then maybe it's just a combination of both. I don't know. What do you think, Stephen? Do you think it's this new character that has been the main reason for the delay, or do you think it's a combination, or do you think Disney are still influencing Fox in some way? I don't know.
I think probably a combination of all three of those things you just mentioned, John. I think the studio has had some involvement, and we just talked about this previously in the last topic, where studios are trying to make films as broad as possible. Certainly when you're going down a specific genre, you can't do that. But another thing that surprised me was the introduction to this new character, and I think that probably is the larger percentage of why there has been extensive reshoots. Normally, in the case of Solo, it's not unusual for a director to probably cut apart, and I know I can't remember the actor's name off the top of my head.
He's quite a good actor. I forget his name as well.
Yeah, his whole story in the film has been erased, and the character's been erased as well, which was a shame. And so it's unusual to see it from the flip side, where you're introducing another character, a new character into a film that's in the can, if you like, for reshoots. Because
it's Michael Key Williams was the chap that was cut.
Oh, right, okay. So I think it's probably a combination of all three things there. That's the reason for the reshoots. But listen, if it's going to make the film better, then it's not a problem. This day and age, I think most audience members are getting used to reshoots now anyway. In the past, it used to be a negative thing. There used to be a negative reaction to these things. Oh, the movie's in trouble. Oh, they're shutting it down, too much studio interference, etc., etc. Listen, if the main reason is they're trying to make the film better, it's only going to benefit us, the audience members.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it is a combination of them all. Also, with the success of it and Get Out in the last year or so, then they can see that a horror film done right will be a success, and they obviously want to capitalise on this. Certainly the character, I've not got any issues with him adding this character in. From what I've heard, as I said, I've not read the comics, but he's supposedly a real fan favourite amongst the comic book readers. His backstory, his powers, and his interesting relationship with his father, and that whole race, and just the overall personality of him, it seems very interesting. Looks like he could have quite an important part in the film. Certainly in the comics, I think his story fits in quite well with the whole implied Demon Bear run, who I believe is supposedly the main villain in this film. Anyway, that's what many have speculated. I don't know, might not be. But so it all looks as though it fits in. I think I read that Josh Boone originally intended to have the Warlock character come in a potential sequel. Maybe with the looming Disney-Fox merger, maybe they've decided this might get shut down. They might not have a chance for a sequel if that deal finally does get confirmed. So maybe they're just looking to rush this character and get him into this one in case it doesn't materialise into a franchise going forward. I don't know, Stephen, it's all speculation. But all we know is that this character's getting introduced. We don't even know if it is Warlock, it might not be. There was a lot of people saying it might even be a Charles Xavier or something like that, tying it in to the wider X-Men verse. Lord knows. Personally, from the choices I've seen, I would rather see the Warlock character come in. He's fresh, he's new. Certainly, people who haven't read the comic books, it's something different for them. I think we've seen enough of Charles Xavier over the various different verses. I've had the young ones, the new ones, the old ones, and Logan. So, yeah, I hope it's the Warlock character, and I'm intrigued to see this film. I've been excited about it from day one, and I'm really looking forward to next year to see what they do with it.
Yeah, certainly I am as well, John. Just ending on Josh Boone's words of, if he can scare you and make you cry, then that is his goal. So listen, that's what you want to hear from a director. If that's what his aim is, then I'm on board for this.
Don't think he'll make me cry, Stephen, and he'll certainly not scare me either, because I don't scare easy. But who knows? We'll see. And just moving on to the next subject, the third subject. That is the Christopher Robin official teaser trailer has released, and what a trailer it is. Thoroughly enjoyed this. Had an amazing sort of a vintage feel to it. Everything about it looked really promising. I love this teaser trailer. It done everything I would want in a teaser trailer. Gave us a hint at the story, idea of what the characters are going to be like, idea of the visuals, just the whole feel of the film. Just feels magical. It's Disney again. These guys are just hitting it out the park again and again and again, as we'll talk about later on with another subject. They just know what they're doing with these films, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, I watched some of the reviews of the trailer the other day, John, and there was a lot of people saying that they didn't like the look of Winnie the Pooh in this film because it didn't replicate the classic animated version of him. Got to remember, this is Christopher Robin's old stuffed toy. I think they've nailed it. The voice as well. It sounds so like the voice from the animated film.
Yeah, actually, it's the same.
Is it the same chap?
Yeah, it's the same chap.
Yeah, Jim Cummings. He's been doing this character for over 30 years, and one of the things that struck me about his voice, it hasn't aged. Going to mention Rogue One again here. James Earl Jones came back to that to reprise his voice for Darth Vader. You could certainly tell he had an older voice in those sequences. But I don't know if it's because Winnie the Pooh's voice is such a youthful voice. I don't know what it is, but Cummings certainly hasn't lost the magic, if you like. The other thing that struck me as well is, I love to watch these trailer reactions on YouTube, etc. And one of the things that struck me from most people's reactions, predominantly females that were watching the film, was that it was quite an emotional teaser. It reduced some of them to tears, which I thought was quite sweet. But the other take as well, I think, was the character of Christopher Robin is now older. That took me by surprise. I don't know how you felt about that.
Yeah, it's interesting the route they're going down with it, Stephen. I'll try and get through most of the things you were discussing there and give my view on it. The fact he's older, it doesn't really bother me that much. I know in the original A.A. Milne books, he was a young boy, and that's going to tie into what I'm going to discuss in a moment, but certainly it doesn't bother me. It kind of adds that whole hook feel to the film, where we get him growing up, maybe becoming a little bit disillusioned with life, losing his values in his way. Kind of a hint at that in the trailer, where he's obviously having to abandon his family for a weekend holiday he had planned to do work at his house, and then he gets introduced to the Pooh character again. But certainly, just landing back into people not liking the look of Winnie the Pooh, the actual character in the film, he's not looking like the original animated version. You need to remember, in the original A.A. Milne books, the Winnie the Pooh character and the myriad of different characters that popped up, such as Eeyore and Tigger and stuff, they were based on his son's stuffed toys, and the whole world that was crafted was based around his house, the woods outside it, and his son playing with these toys. So if anything, it's more of a faithful adaptation of the book than the original animated series was. I don't have an issue with the look of the characters. I thought they looked amazing. The stuffed sort of a toy look, I thought that looked incredible. And as I said, the real vintage vibe, and that certainly was helped with the look of the Pooh character. And the visuals themselves just look stunning. It looks like an amazing period piece. I know that it says in the trailer it's from the same studio that brought us Beauty and the Beast. I loved the looks in Beauty and the Beast. That was just a brilliant film. The feel of it, the visuals, everything. So that's a real positive that they're involved. Matthias Königsweiser, I think, is the cinematographer. I'm not hugely familiar with him. I don't think he's worked in many major films, but if this trailer's any indicators, then he's certainly nailed it. But yeah, I mean, as I said, Stephen, the whole Christopher Robin older doesn't bother me too much. I think that's given it, the blending the film, a sort of hook feel, where he's disillusioned now and he's getting reintroduced to these characters that he played with in his childhood. So that's not an issue for me.
Yeah, and director Mark Forster, he's no stranger to this kind of fiction. He directed Finding Neverland in 2004. I think he might have done Monsters Ball as well. It was about 16 years ago or something like that. He was the director on one of the Bond films as well, I'm sure, if I'm not mistaken. So he's an experienced director. So from that point of view, I think they've certainly got the right director involved in this. Just looking at the cast as well, very impressive. You've got Hayley Atwell in there, Ewan McGregor obviously playing Christopher Robin, Chris O'Dowd, Toby Jones, who's a fantastic actor, Jim Cummings, as we mentioned, Peter Capaldi's playing a rabbit. We've got Roger Ashton Griffiths, another one of my favourite actors from England. So, I mean, the recipe's all there for a very successful film. The teaser trailer itself was very, what was it, just over a minute?
Yeah.
But it was such a impactful minute, I feel like.
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor, you know, the guy just can't go wrong, you know, with his roles. And I'm certainly looking forward to seeing this film.
Yeah, I mean, the character itself, it was a character I think most people over the last 30 or 40 years has probably grown up with. I certainly remember watching it as a young boy in the original animated series. So I can understand it playing on people's emotional heartstrings, if you like, with the tone of it, and certainly the music and everything was just perfect for me. The feel of it, I just loved the trailer. Really took me by surprise. Ewan McGregor being in there is a big positive for me. I've been a big fan of his for a number of years. I think he's a phenomenal actor, get great range. He can play everything from a drug addict to a Lumiere in Beauty and the Beast, and Jedi and a Jedi Knight, and hopefully once again a Jedi Knight. So he's got great range, and that is a really big positive, him coming in. He looks great as a character. I just love some of the comments, just the attention to detail they've had, where the book's also set in the 100-acre wood, and this was based, as I said earlier, the original book by Milne was based in and around his home, and it was based on his son's toys and him playing with them. That's how he created the character Christopher Robin. So just the fact that they've filmed this as close to that original location as possible, that adds great authenticity to the film. It looks like they've nailed all the little details and little pooisms, as they call it. And certainly over the last 3 or 4 years with the rise of the Paddington films, this is something I'm really happy to see, that we're getting these traditional British characters animated series. They're getting a new lick of paint and they're getting rebooted and brought into the 21st century. So I'm really pleased with this. Really excited to see more about this film going forward.
And just staying on, you know, these teaser trailers, another one from Disney that dropped, I think it was around about the same time, was the upcoming, I think it's coming out this Christmas, is Disney's Mary Poppins Returns, starring Emily Blunt.
Yeah, I've not got an emotional connection with this one, Stephen. I ain't gonna lie. I didn't grow up watching this. I think I've actually seen the original film. I obviously know Mary Poppins. Everybody knows Mary Poppins, the nanny with the umbrella flying in the sky and that crazy bird thing going on. It kind of reminded me of Livonia, whatever her name was from I, Tonya. I just reviewed it, I should know that, with the whole bird going on. I don't know what that's about, but yeah, I mean, I've not got the emotional connection to this one, but certainly the trailer was interesting. Very brief. I think it was only about a minute long as well. Wasn't as good as the Christopher Robin one for me, but it's Disney again, and you know you're going to get a good film from Disney. Also, they refused to move Han Solo back to December because this is coming out, so they've obviously got high hopes for it and they know it's going to do reasonably well. They're trying to capture the Christmas market. Trailer looked okay. Emily Blunt's a great actress. I think she's brilliant. She's been in quite a few films I've enjoyed. Yeah, I mean, it looks okay. It looks fine.
Yeah, I think this is set years after the original anyway.
Yeah.
I think the two kids in it are now grown up. The names escape me, I can't remember. As far as Emily Blunt, you know, taking on this role, I do know that from various chat shows, etc., that she's been on, she's very nervous about this. And I have heard that Julie Andrews is, you know, gave her blessing. She's very impressed with the actress anyway. Also, Dick Van Dyke will be appearing in this film as well. He was obviously in the original, but I don't think he's playing the same character in this one.
Meryl
Streep's in there as well. Colin Firth as well. It's a fantastic cast.
It's a fantastic cast.
You know, Angela Lansbury, who's no stranger. I think she was in Bedknobs and Broomsticks as well. Julie Walters as well. The list goes on. Very impressive cast, if you ask me. The trailer, I'm very much similar to yourself, John. I have seen Mary Poppins, the original film, years and years ago. It's you know, I don't really have an emotional attachment to it. As far as I can remember, it was a very enjoyable film. Some memorable musical numbers in there as well. And when I saw the trailer the other day, I thought they were going to go down the road like Venom and not actually show us the main character. But
they never did.
Thankfully they did, and they showed it was a little callback to you know, the original with Mary Poppins and looking in the mirror and her reflection doing its own thing. So it was a nice little touch, that. But I did think that perhaps we were just going to get that silhouette of her flying through the sky, and that would have been very disappointing, you know.
Yeah, she didn't pop up until I think the last 10 seconds of the trailer or something. Kind of gave me It vibes, that when she was in the sky with the kite. Obviously, the balloon goes up, and the original Tim Curry, when the balloon goes up into the theme park, that gave me that sort of vibe. Obviously, that's completely way out. This is not a horror, John. She's not a murderous clown. She's a nanny. So, but yeah, that was cool in the mirror. I have to say, that was quite cool. I liked that, the way she kind of turned in the mirror. The reflection just looked back at her. That was very, very intriguing. Cast looks amazing. I see Ben Wishaw's in there as well. Obviously, he lended his talents to Paddington. He's the Paddington Bear. He's a great actor as well. So, yeah, I mean, as I said, I've not got an emotional connection. The trailer was okay. It was a fairly short trailer. As I haven't watched the original, I wasn't aware that they were growing up. It's kind of a similar situation to Christopher Robin, where you've got a youthful character in the original who's now grown up, and obviously in that case his friends are returning, his stuffed friends are returning. In this case it's the nanny, Mary Poppins, who's returning. So kind of a similarities there. Disney involved. Don't know what to say, Stephen. I can't say much more because I wasn't a fan of the original. Haven't seen it, but it's okay.
Director Rob Marshall is on board for this one, who's no stranger to Disney, directing Into the Woods in 2014. Also he directed Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger's Tides in 2011. And as far as musical numbers go, he directed Chicago back in 2002, and actually he also directed one of my favourite films of the time in 2005, Memoirs of a Geisha, which was a very impressive film. But certainly get the right director involved in this. He's got the experience, he's got the musical background as well. Just another little sort of Easter egg that was in there. I did notice on Mary Poppins' hat that there's a little robin.
Yeah.
That's a little callback to Julie Andrews' version, having the little robin on her finger. Yeah. Well, I think it was whistling, as I recall. So nice little Easter eggs in there. I'm sure once the full trailer comes out, there'll be many more.
Yeah, and David McGee's involved in the writing as well, who's also a great writer. He done Life of Pi and also Finding Neverland, both very good films. So, yeah, I mean, if you expect that with Disney, a studio of that standard, they're not going to release a film of this magnitude. Obviously, it's got a great connection with a great many people. They're not going to release this film and have amateurs involved. They're going to put together an array of very talented people. And obviously, that's reflecting all the way down through the cast and the crew. Love the score as well. That's the final thing I'm going to say on that. The shimmering kind of a string arrangements, that was amazing. But just moving on, Stephen, to the final part of the show, which is just box office chat, where we discuss the top 10 films in the UK box office for the weekend. I don't know what weekend it is, Stephen.
It's the weekend of March the 2nd to 4th, 2018, John. Now, obviously, when we were doing our Oscar coverage last week, there's certainly been a few changes to the top 10 this week, which certainly we welcome, because it means we're not repeating ourselves. And coming in, at no surprise, this was obviously in its first week when we last did our box office, is Black Panther.
Yes, and I know we've both seen this now, Stephen, so we can maybe discuss it. I say maybe. This was a very good film, Stephen. It was a great film, but was it as good as everybody's been making out? Don't know about that. I thought the story was it was a little bit weak. I love the visuals. I love some of the performances, most notably Michael B. Jordan, Chadwick Boseman and Andy Serkis. I thought those three were outstanding. Lupita Nyong'o was great as well. Some of the action in it was just jaw-dropping. I loved the Wakanda setting, that was amazing. But just, the story lacked a little bit for me. Not surprised at all that it's sitting at number 1. I'm gibbering on here, Stephen. We're talking about the box office. It's grossed 3.7 million for the weekend, for a total gross of 35.7 million. It has been out 3 weeks. It's still shown in 599 theatres. I'll let you in with your thoughts on it.
Yeah, my sentiments exactly, John. I thought this film was visually stunning. Character development was okay to a point. I wouldn't say disappointed, but I was very surprised that Michael B. Jordan's character, I could sympathise with the character. Yeah. I've got to be honest with you. I thought he was dealt a very bad hand with his father and his uncle, the relationship there. But as you said, I thought the main actors were absolutely brilliant. Very disappointed to see Andy Serkis, his character, spoiler coming up, being killed off after an hour. We've done a profile on this guy. We both love his work. It's not very often we get to see him perform live. You know, he's normally hidden behind the mocap. So I was very disappointed. Very convincing South African accent, I've got to say.
Yeah.
Not so much convincing about Martin Freeman's American accent. I thought it was a bit lame. It certainly sounded like the Slough accent he had in the Office at times. But overall, the story was a little bit weak as well. But it's no surprise it's still at number 1.
Yeah, Michael B. Jordan was very much in the Roy Batty vein from Blade Runner. Very relatable villain. I didn't hate him at all. I sympathise with his plight. His dad get murdered with his uncle. He get left in a strange country on his own. I'd be vengeful, I know, I'd be wanting to kill people. Andy Serkis was amazing, his claw as well. I was very disappointed at the manner of his death. That was another thing I was slightly disappointed in, the way they handled the villains. He was obviously the main villain for the first half of the film or so. Then he just gets discarded. And Michael B. Jordan comes in. We don't get any of his backstory until later on in the film. He just comes in, takes over as a villain. Well, he was an amazing villain, don't get me wrong. But I thought that could have been handled better. I loved the character, the lady that played the sister. I can't remember her name at the moment. But her little back and forth with Black Panther, T'Challa, that was great. It was a great film. It wasn't my favourite. I still think Thor's better in it, in the standalones over the recent past. I just loved what they did in that film, the humour and everything. But just moving on to number 2, Stephen. It's a new release, Red Sparrow. It's grossed 1.8 million for the weekend. It's shown in 556 theatres. And I don't know anything about it, Stephen, because I've not went to see it yet. But the trailers we did discuss, very interesting. I know it stars your favourite actress of all time, Jennifer Lawrence. So yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I like a good spy film anyway, so I'll go and see this. In fact, I'll probably go and see this week at some point and maybe do a movie review on it. Love the trailers. But, coming in at 1.9 million over the weekend in its first week's very impressive. Yes, and it's also a Black Widow rip-off as well, Stephen. But yeah, I will definitely give this a bash. I'll definitely go and see this. It looked interesting enough to capture my attention. Moving on to number 3, it's an old faithful, familiar sight. Film we've been talking about for about 7 years now. The Greatest Showman. It's grossed, and it's still grossing over £1 million. Jesus Christ, it's grossed 1.2 million for the weekend. It's shown in 769 theatres. This has increased. What is going on here? It's actually saying it's went down 124. What the hell's going on? It must have went up and then went down again. I don't know. Maybe it got a little boost after the Oscars. I don't know, Stephen. But it's grossed 34.8 million total. It's been out for 10 weeks. And it's still third in the box office. I mean, it was a good film. I enjoyed it. But it wasn't that good. I don't know. Yeah, overall, 34.9 million. It's grossed, which is very impressive for a musical. Yeah. It certainly doesn't want to get flushed away, this one, does it?
No, it does not.
And that's no disrespect to the film. I think it's amazing that it's not even just hanging about the top 10, it's at number 3. Very similar to the response to Jumanji. It's one of those films that I wouldn't certainly call an underdog, but you wouldn't think it would hang about the box office this long. But no, hats off to them. Certainly has been a marvellous success. And just moving on to number 4, John, in its first week is Game Night.
Yes. Game Night has grossed 1 million, just over 1 million, nearly 1.1 million in its opening weekend. Shown in 469 theatres. I don't know anything about this film, Stephen. This has flew right under the radar for me. I didn't know this film existed until just now. Yeah, I mean, it's got a reasonable enough cast without really being sparkling by enemies. Jesse Plemons is in there again. This guy pops up in an unbelievable amount of films. He was in The Hostiles, he was in The Post. He's everywhere. Where does this guy get time? Does he not take a holiday, man? Every film he's in. But yeah, I mean, this looks interesting. It's a mystery film, I'm assuming. I don't know what it's about. It's based around a regular group of friends meeting for game nights and then end up having to solve a murder mystery. I don't know anything else about this, Stephen. Yeah,
pretty soon we'll be playing the 6 Degrees of Jesse Plemons, I think. Certainly catching up with Kevin Bacon. This film is, I think it's a comedy, is it not, John? Certainly, when you've got Jason Bateman in there, you're mad not to make it a comedy, but this is actually shown in 20 theatres throughout Glasgow at the moment. This was released on the 2nd of March, and it's getting good ratings. It's got Rachel McAdams in there as well, as you mentioned. Also, Danny Houston. So I think it's one of those films that I will get around to seeing on Sky Movies eventually. It's certainly not one I'm not going to drag myself out to a theatre to see. That's no disrespect to the film. I think it's getting good reviews, and just moving on to number 5, John, in its second week is Ladybird.
Yes, and it's only grossed 910,000 for its second weekend. It's now got a total gross of 2.7 million. It's shown in 391 theatres. It's up over 200 for this week. I don't know anything about this film, Stephen, I've got to be honest. You've seen it. I know you've done a written review on this, Stephen, and you'll probably be doing an audio review shortly. This one does interest me. Saoirse Ronan, I know, will get nominated for, I think it was Best Supporting Actress or Best Actress, I can't recall. It's got a great cast. Timothée Chalamet's in there, Laurie Metcalf. So yeah, I mean, I'll probably get round to seeing this film. This one looks interesting to me.
It is a coming of age film, John, but it's one of those ones that have got a few little surprises in there that will keep you entertained. I don't want to get too much into it because, as you said, I will be doing an audio review of this very shortly. But listen, it took me by surprise. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't think it would be a massive success at the Oscars, but it did reasonably well, and I would highly recommend it.
Yes, and moving on to number 6, we have got Kabaite Mathi. This is gross 570,000 in its opening weekend. It's only shown in 254 theatres, and I believe it's a Polish film, Stephen. I tried to go into IMDb there, but it was the Polish version and it wasn't loading, so I'm all out of ideas on this one. I don't know who's starring in it, Stephen. I don't know anything about it. All I know is it's got a horrifically bad rating on IMDb. I think the main reason this is in the top 10 is just down to the sizable population of Poles in the United Kingdom these days. I think they're probably all going out to watch this, but I'm good pals with a Pole. I don't think you'll be going to see this one if I know anything about him. And I don't know anything about this, Stephen, so I'll let you in. Maybe you can shine a light on this one. Maybe you can't.
Kobayati Mafia. This film is it's called Women of Mafia. So I think it's going to be a predominantly female sort of cast. If just looking at the names.
Women of Mafia.
But as you said, John, it's not getting a very good rating on IMDb. That's something that shouldn't really make you decide whether or not you want to go and see a film anyway. But as you said, very big Polish community here in the UK, and I can see why it's in the top 10. Whether or not it will sustain a position in the top 10 will be remain to be seen. But from what we've seen in the patterns for international films, they don't really hang about that long in the box office.
No, they don't. And that's maybe for the best, because then we don't need to discuss it, Stephen. But moving on to number 7, we've got Coco, and it's grossed £556,000 for the weekend, shown in 538 theatres. It has grossed a total now of 17.4 million. It's been out 7 weeks. This is a very good film, Stephen. We've discussed this one numerous times now. Really good film, thoroughly deserving of its Remember Me Oscar win. I know a lot of people were upset that This Is Me, I think it is, didn't want it from Great Showman. I wanted Remember Me to win. I love this little animated film. Still prefer Paddington, that's still my favourite animated release over the last 6 months or so. But thoroughly deserving of what it's grossed, and I'm glad to see it's still there earning money.
I think it's going to have another little burst of life after the Oscars, as you said, John. Certainly the soundtrack will be helping that. But, you did an audio review on this a while back, John. It's one of our most viewed movie reviews on our YouTube channel, actually. It's got terrific feedback from people that subscribe to us, putting their comments in, saying how they thoroughly enjoyed this, particularly from people from Mexico.
Yeah.
But just moving on to number 8 this week, another film that you did a movie review which just dropped the other day is I, Tonya.
Yes, I, Tonya's grossed 547,000 for the weekend. It's down 48.5% over the week. It's only shown in 386 theatres. It's grossed 2 million total, so been out 2 weeks. I did enjoy this film, Stephen. As I said in my review, wasn't a big fan of ice skating growing up. Football's the predominant sport in Scotland. I was born in 1989. I would have been 5 when this whole controversy that this film is based around took place. Certainly wasn't something that was on my radar. But it was intriguing getting a little insight into this crazy, prejudiced world of ice skating and just the trials and tribulations this character went through. Obviously it's based on a real person the person went through. Margot Robbie was great in it. She produced and starred in the film. Done great. Sebastian Stan's a great actor. I love him. Want to see him playing Luke Skywalker someday. He was good as a Freddie Mercury wannabe Jeff Gillooly. What a name that is, by the way, Jeff Gillooly. Try and saying that when you're drunk. Alison Janney also picked up the Oscar for Lavona Harding. That was the one I was talking about during our discussion about Mary Poppins with the bird thing. What an eccentric, crazy, vindictive mother that was. I mean, if I had a mother figure like that, I think I'd have ran a mile. She stabbed her in the back at one point. Amazing performance for her. Thoroughly enjoyed the film for what it was. Some of the action scenes and the dancing was great. CG wasn't so great in it, but yeah, I mean, it was a good film, and certainly I think it deserves to be doing better than what it's done. I mean, it's only earned 2 million. That's a little bit harsh on it, and it's dropped quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, these figures are obviously the UK, John. I think worldwide it's definitely did a lot better. Still surprised that the weekend's gross just at 500,000.
Yeah.
Just moving on to number 9 now is Finding Your Feet.
Yes, and this has grossed 465,000 for the weekend, Stephen. It's already dropped 50% from last week. It's in its second week. It has a 2 million total gross, and it's shown in 498 theatres. Don't know much about this one, Stephen. This seems to be a prevailing theme this week. I'm not coming across as a very knowledgeable person on films, but what can I say? It's got an amazing cast looking at it. It's took me by surprise. Timothy Spall's in there, Imelda Staunton, also of Harry Potter fame. Timothy Spall of Harry Potter fame as well. David Heyman and also Joanna Lumley as well. So good enough cast, Stephen. Don't know what more to say. I haven't seen it. Don't know anything about it.
Yeah, our very own John Sessions is in there as well. He's from Largs, I think. Yep, it's getting a not bad rating on IMDb as well. This is a comedy, drama, romance. It's got one of my favourite actors in it, so it's one of those ones that I will get round to watching. Timothy Spall, that is. Loved him since back in his old Vidicen Pet days as Barry the Radish. And since then, the guy's, probably out of that cast, he's probably been the most successful, certainly with big budget films. Yeah, as you said, amazing cast. But it's one of those ones that, I will get round to. I think I would enjoy watching this film, actually.
Yeah, it strikes me as an atypical sort of a Netflix type film, doesn't it? You don't really usually see these type of films popping up in theatrical releases. But listen, I'll give it a chance if it pops up at some point down the road. I'm certainly not going to go to the theatres to see it, I'm not going to lie. And just rounding off the box office chat for this week, Stephen, at number 10 is the multiple Oscar winning Shape of Water. It's grossed £424,000 for the weekend. It's down over 50%. It's shown in 360 theatres, and it's grossed 5.3 million out 3 weeks now. We've discussed this film a lot as well, Stephen. You've done a review on it. We also spoke about it on and off in last week's Oscar special episode. It's a very good film. Some great performances in there. Guillermo del Toro also directed it. He's a guy I've enjoyed for a number of years. I thought it was deserving of its Oscar win. I would have preferred to have seen 3 Billboards, but I certainly wasn't disappointed at this one, because I did get enjoyment out of this film. It was a very unique film. As I say, it's great performances. I love Michael Shannon. He's just an amazing actor. Richard Jenkins was great. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see it's done okay. I wouldn't say it's done spectacular by any means. It's only earned 5 million. I certainly think it should have been earning more than The Post, which I feel was a significantly weaker film, but it's grossed like nearly 3 times the amount. I mean, that's just not on for me, but what can I say? Some films will connect with different countries and other films won't. You just need to look at China with Fast and Furious is an absolute revelation, and Star Wars gets chased out the theatre, so it's all subjective.
Certainly is, John. As you said, I did an audio review on this last week. I think I've mentioned everything I loved about this film, down to the visuals, the score, beautiful score.
Yeah.
And the performances from the actors was absolutely outstanding. Not surprised it did so well at the Oscars. Funny thing is, I don't think it's going to be in the top 10 for much longer. Which I'm very surprised about. But then again, 3 Billboards isn't there either. So as you said, it's all subjective, and that rounds off this week's box office chat.
Yeah, we'd just like to thank you once again, guys, for listening to episode 22 of the Movie Burner podcast. And we'll see you next week. Remember guys, if you're enjoying the content we're putting out, then subscribe to us on YouTube and on iTunes and Google Play at the Movie Burner Podcast. And also pop on and give us a little follow on Facebook and Twitter at Movie Burners. You can also catch up with all the latest reviews we're putting out on the Movie Burner blog at movieburnerentertainment.org. Until the next time, goodbye.